Welcome into the On3 NIL Elite Series event, the event of the summer. Myself, JD Piquel, alongside national recruiting analyst for On3, Josh Newberg. Josh, how we doing, my man?
Oh, man, I'm fired up to be here, JD. This is the first annual, but I think in 10 years, when we look back, this is going to be a staple for elite recruits all over the country. They're going to be coming to Nashville, Tennessee to learn about NIL.
Providing top-shelf NIL education, the first of its kind, and who better to intro this whole event and to kind of break down NIL as a whole, the purpose of the event, than our CEO and founder of On3, Shannon Terry.
Yeah, can't wait to hear from Shannon. Let's see what he has to say.
Shannon, we got the college football stars of tomorrow here in Nashville, over 30 prospects. What was the vision behind putting together an event like this?
Yeah, this is I think my 27th year, first with Rivals, 24/7 Sports, and now On3. That's a lot of athletes, over almost 3 decades that we've seen come through. And the thing about it is whether these athletes go on to really successful pro careers, or they make it in banking or finance or media, there are some common denominators that the successful athletes exhibit over time. And so, we've done so much work in this space, over the years. And part of the mission of On3, when I pitched this business plan to our investor group from the go, is that we want to be a resource and an asset for athletes and their parents and bake that into the model. And so this is just the first of many things that we'll be doing where there's an education, a resource, a touch point with the athlete.
We're 2 full years into NIL. Now, everybody likes to write the negative because people don't like change, but what are some of the positives that stand out to you?
I think the biggest positive is just the financial literacy part, the awareness part now with athletes. And I think that's a generational impact, if you want to know the truth, because if you're talking about now athletes can go in to an accounting class, to an HR, any type of business class now, and they're looking at that as an entrepreneur, a lot different than just a student. So there's an enormous benefit of just being more relatable, from an education perspective. The other thing I think is just it's going to make them grow up a little bit. I've talked to a lot of pro athletes over the years, and the common denominator is that they don't know what they're doing until their second contract. And so they're going to be able now to make some mistakes with money, make some mistakes with decisions, and do it where it's not as large of an impact as, let's say, in those years.
It feels like there's so much that's still new about NIL, and it feels like it's constantly evolving. What's the next evolution in your mind in the NIL space?
There's so many aspects that are up in the air right now. States have, all different types of laws, and there's been a lot of state laws that have come out to try to benefit their home schools. And those state laws have really made the NCAA powerless. And so we're in an interesting point. Obviously, NCAA president Charlie Baker is lobbying hard for a federal bill that would preempt, the state rights, that would set some form of rules around that. I don't see any of those things taking shape over the next couple years. So what you're going to see is, I think you're going to see schools get more proactive in the support and the education and the things that they bring to the table for their athletes, because they can't wait for the NCAA to act. NCAA is not acting. Too much antitrust risk from them to act. They can't wait, election year, federal bill. And so you're going to get schools get really aggressive around support, roster values, I think are going to, where I thought they peaked for a while and then they came back down. I think you're going to see them continue to rise as athletes are going to see some pretty significant deals at the school level.
I wanted to talk about something that we covered a lot at On3, Jaden Rashada situation and how it impacted NIL. Now, for a quick recap, Jaden Rashada was committed to Florida. He was promised a large sum of money through the collective. It didn't come. He opted out, not only of his commitment, but he opted out of his NLI, and he was granted that. So what do you think the Rashada impact had on the NIL market?
A lot of different factors. First, if you look at, our metrics and anything around it, the deal, it was an overvalued deal from the go. And I think, the Florida community realized that, and that was obviously part of the problem. The the part that is interesting is there was an incredible negative connotation around NIL that shadowed that event. And so the perception in the media, the perception with fans is that every athlete is getting this lucrative, overvalued deal when it simply was not the case. You know, the money at that time were coming from the collectives, which in large part were these, you know, savvy business people. They didn't have infinite resources. And they were basically acting as kind of roster managers of a finite resource. And I do believe that now looking back, it sped up the process to an efficient market.
Metrics they had accounted for in that deal, this all could have been avoided. And so that brings me back to the On3 NIL valuation that we have in house. Have you seen that be integrated so far into the NIL marketplace?
Certainly. You know, it's something the athletes are very aware of, the collectives are very aware of, and the brands are very aware of, and the schools are very aware of. And our goal, again, is to create an efficient marketplace so that the athletes know their value, they know their roster value, they know their brand value, and all the parties know that. So it is certainly, you know, it's the valuation that is being used the most. It extrapolates down. The roster value comes from an overall look at all the collectives and how much money that they're raising and deploying, you know, so there's a lot of good math behind that. The brand value side is driven more around group licensing and larger brand deals, which we have not seen, you know, permeate through the NIL space, only with just a few large key athletes.
Have you gotten pushback from teams and programs on roster value, or is it kind of in sync?
From what we talk with pretty much all the collectives, talk to all the schools, we talk with athletes, we talk with parents, and we have found that for the most part, our roster value number is very in line with what we're hearing those athletes are seeing in the marketplace. Brand value right now is heavily driven around just their social platforms and how much money is associated with that. So we think that the value has done a really good job tracking. It has nailed the elite athletes from the go. And our thesis is that not everyone on a roster is deserving roster value money. And so if you take a roster of 100 athletes, okay, our view kind of is the bottom third, you know, shouldn't be participating in that roster value money, which is, you know, if you're under $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, you're not participating in it. Well, the thing to remember, and we're going to hammer this home, if you take a look at the school value, what the school is providing, that's somewhere around $150,000 a year in tuition, room, board, indirect expenses, and all the perks that come with being a Power 5 athlete. So athletes aren't necessarily being taken advantage of. I think a few of the elites, you know, are really the ones that should benefit from NIL and will continue to do so.
We got a lot of the elite players coming to Nashville for this event. Shannon, we appreciate you stopping by.
It's great. Thanks, guys.
Josh, CEO and founder of On3, Shannon Terry, he's been way ahead of the ballgame when it comes to the NIL space. I mean, just a really insightful conversation as a whole.
I'd love to hear his thoughts on valuation, whether it be roster or brand. It's such a deep conversation, and we only scratched the surface here with Shannon, but he knows his stuff.
Now, to talk about the event as a whole and even more information on NIL and maybe where it's headed in the future, the man who put this whole event together, our very own Grant Ferking. Now joining us, the man that put this whole On3 NIL Elite Series event together, Grant Ferking. Grant, how we doing, brother?
Man, I'm great. We finally made it. Tuesday, May 30th, the date that's lived in my head for many months now. But we're here. We made it. We got guys flying in all across the country right now. So once they get here, we'll be rolling. We got a great 48 hours put on for them. So looking forward to it.
Let's start with this. What do you hope athletes take away from an event like this?
Yeah, you know, that's a great question, because I think this event is so unique in what it offers to a student at their age right now, right? There's never been NIL education guidance that's been offered to athletes, you know, and their parents, to be honest, at the age and kind of where they're at in their recruitment right now. You got kids that are going into their senior year of high school. They're about to enter the month of June. This event takes them to June 1st when all of them start landing on campuses, going to camps all over. And, you know, where Nashville's located is in the heart of SEC country, where a lot of these kids are going to be going to straight from here. And so, you know, as they go to these schools and hear how, you know, what NIL packages they have to offer and what collectives have to offer at these schools, now they will be able to hear, what should I really listen to? What should I really look for? And for us to be able to put this event on, like I said, for these kids and for these parents, when they are 17, 18 years old, they're not quite on a college campus yet when the education really starts. They can actually factor in what they're going to learn here from our, elite industry expert speaker list and, formulate a decision on what's going to be best for them for the next 3 or 4 years in college.
Grant, NIL is talked about everywhere, from message boards to Twitters. Fans talk about NIL, but there's a portion of the fan base that thinks NIL is bad for the sport. It's ruined college athletics. What do you say to those people?
Yeah, I think in anything, there's always going to be people that, aren't for it or for against it, right? Mm-hmm. And so, I think something that's really neat is I think this event will really showcase the good you can do with NIL. Just like with anything, there's always going to be things people don't necessarily fully agree with, right? I think one thing that we've seen with NIL that a lot of the people that were, fully against it, that didn't think it was really going to work, like anything, it's a free market right now. All that stuff usually works itself out, right? And so, the kids that were making a bunch of money and, were promised all these deals, they go and, for whatever reason they don't perform. Stuff happens when they get to campus, those deals usually don't last and they don't even, last on that campus very long. We've seen that, we've seen, unfortunate situations of guys get promised large chunks of money and, they don't even make it on campus. Right. And, our goal is, to educate these kids and parents to know that the next 3 or 4 years isn't just a money play. It's not, hey, where can I go get the top dollar and just put me being a college athlete repping the name on the front of my jersey, not the back of the jersey. That's always going to be there. Like, keep the main thing. And that's the great thing I want to keep, preaching to these kids is that people love college football for the reasons of the pageantry of it, the tailgating, the marching band, the stuff that isn't offered on Sundays, right? And so while NIL is here and there's good things that go on, there's things that aren't so good that go on. At the same time, the ball's still kicked off on Saturday, 3:30 CBS. Like, that never goes away, right? And so if these kids can embrace that they are still playing for an institution, there's been guys that didn't make a dollar coming, long before them that are so proud to watch these guys every Saturday, and that truly they take pride in, like I said, repping that name on the front of the jersey and not just playing for the back of the jersey. Like, if they can enter these next 3 or 4 years with that mindset, I think, our goal and mission is to kind of change that narrative here as people kind of view the NIL space.
Grant, one of those narratives that was out there was, the NIL entry is going to be tearing apart locker rooms and guys are going to be all about the money. You're not that far removed from a locker room yourself, having played at Tennessee. What was your observations having been in those spaces?
That's a question that I seriously get asked every single time is, did it affect the locker room? Look, I was there for 2 full seasons when NIL was, fully in place. I never saw one argument, one disagreement, one fight about money. Here's the thing. If you're an elite athlete and you're performing at a super high level at a place, where I came from, like Tennessee, or any high-level school, the guys that are making plays and are high-level performers are going to be the guys that are cashing the checks and making the top dollar. If you're a guy that is making, top dollar and you're not performing and you're not getting any reps and you're not doing right off the field, you're just going to weed yourself out. They're just not going to pay you. They're not going to keep you around any longer. So, like, while, some guys might think, hey, I don't really agree. This guy's getting paid this. He's getting paid that. At the same time, in most cases, you just got to make it through a season. That guy's not going to be around anymore, right? So, like, one thing I've truly found is that, this dollar amount, conversation, hey, what's that guy making? What's this guy making? Like, it really brings out true colors. And when you don't perform at a high level, it gets taken away. And that's one of the beautiful things about NIL and something that, we're going to preach on here at this event is that NIL really just fast tracks life skills that you will learn, 4, 5, 6 years removed from college. You're learning that now at 17, 18 years old. If you don't show up and do your job every day, you're not getting paid on Friday, right? And so once kids have that mindset, then I think it'll really, shift their thinking of like, man, I always had to perform at a high level once I land at, whatever institution. I really have to do it now because there's money tied to it as well.
Grant, I want to talk collectives. 2 years ago, there was a couple collectives. The name was familiar with fans, but now every fan base knows their collective, and some fan bases have multiple collectives. What's your take on collectives and where they're heading?
Yeah, collectives right now have to be very unique in how they're positioning themselves. Mm-hmm. There's a fine line of trying to balance running a collective and fundraising those dollars. At the same time, the university and the development office is trying to build buildings, right? Like they are both asking the same group of donors, the same group of people, local businesses, regional businesses, for the same dollars, right? What's really unique is at a select 4, 5, 6 schools, that money can be doubled. You can say, hey, I'm going to give $5 million here, I'm going to give $5 million there. At 95% of schools, that money is getting split. So, at the same time that the development office is calling to raise money, they want to go win games on Saturday too. Well, are you telling me the collective doesn't want to win games either? Like, they're trying to win games too. So everyone's pushing in the same direction. So, what you're really trying to see right now is, collectives, development offices, people involved in the institution kind of patting each other on the back. Hey, John Smith, the donor, let's push in the same direction. We're all trying to win games right here. They're for two different purposes. We always need buildings. We always need resources as an institution. But hey, if we can go, put a war chest together and go get some players, we can go win games next season. We don't have to wait 5 years to break ground on the new stadium, right? We can go win this season. And so I think, the message is collectives have to stay aggressive on fundraising. They have to. And there's so many unique ways that, some of these kids will see it today. We have a partner coming in Hyperlux, who's putting on an incredible Madden tournament. Will be, broadcasted live across the country. A lot of collectives have brought them in for, athletes on rosters to engage in, e-gaming tournaments with fans as part of their subscription giving to the collective. So they can be, on a headset, talking to, the quarterback at Tennessee, the quarterback at Ole Miss, and, as part of their subscription package and given to the collective. So the value proposition that collectives have to offer now is really unique. But one thing that fans always want that they've never really gotten when you're given to like a development office or an institution is they want connection. They want an experience. They want interaction with the players. They want interaction with the coaches. And so collectives, since they're not directly involved at the school, can offer that to an extent. And so, I think the collective conversation has improved because I think people have seen that there's a true return on what these fans are getting for their investment that they're putting in, right? It's not just the rich donors stroking big-time checks. You can give $5, $10, $15 a month, just like you would pay for your Netflix subscription, but you actually get to connect with the players and coaches at a different, unique level.
It's one of those things, too, you mentioned everybody wants to win games. Yeah. We win games, we get exposure. 100%. There's probably more money coming in 100%. For all parties.
No doubt.
Last question for you, Grant, before we get you out of here. Super broad, answer this as you want to. Where's NIL headed?
It's unique. One thing I'll tell you, it's not going away. If that's the answer people were looking for, they were hoping it was a different answer. I'd tell you it's not going away. I think you'll see in the next few years, I think you'll probably see some states do some things different. You've already seen the NCAA, try to put some things out there. They're trying to get the ball rolling. I think federal legislation is still a long ways out. We're about to enter another election cycle. There's a lot more pressing hands on deck right now. And so I think federally it's going to take a little bit. One thing I think people need to realize, too, in this whole conversation is when NIL took place, coming up on 2 years ago in, July 1 this year, it's hard to, set everyone free with very little, rules, regulations pertaining to the guidance of it. I mean, truly, there was a one-pager put out on what kids can and can't do, and they left it up to the states. And every state was pretty much the same. At that time, it was you couldn't make money as a high school athlete. You had to stay away from doing deals that involved a vice, right? It was all very broad. And then you saw some states start shifting and having some movement. And then it became, oh shoot, that's a recruiting advantage. Like Josh Heupel was probably more important than the governor of Tennessee when Tennessee's winning, right? Nick Saban's probably the most important person in the state of Alabama, right? And so if there's a recruiting advantage, by goodness, they're probably getting something pushed through, right? And so I think as kind of time evolves, it's going to be, just like when someone puts up their brand new athletic complex, their new facility they built, and then, 3 months later, you see the renderings that, their rival school just put out. I think you'll see that in terms of the state-by-state conversation, and that it's just going to be kind of a battle, and, who can loosen up the regulation enough, but have enough guardrails around it to protect the athletes, protect their parents and their brands. Because, look, at the end of the day, these kids are 16, 17, 18 years old when they're going through this recruitment process.
Awesome stuff, man. Well, Grant, we appreciate you stopping by, brother.
No
Do
doubt.
your best to enjoy the event as much as possible.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming out. It was a blast.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Awesome. We'll do it again soon.
Yes, sir.
Josh, what a tremendous resource for us to have Grant Ferky, not only someone so knowledgeable in the NIL space, but someone also who's not that far removed from being in the trenches of a college locker room.
Yeah, it was awesome. We got to talk to Grant, and he has been going crazy behind the scenes putting this together. Big props to Grant. He doesn't get enough credit.
And we also had a ton of high-profile studs that are going to be ballers at the next level, Josh, we got to talk to as well.
Yeah, and we asked them a couple questions. We asked every recruit the same 3 questions. We asked them, how much does it factor into your decision? What misconceptions are out there about NIL? And hey, give us the craziest story you've ever heard when it comes to NIL. How much does NIL factor into your recruitment?
NIL factor pretty big in my recruitment. You know, I want to come in, you know, I want to have fun, but I also want to make money. You know, I want to be able to take care of my family. NIL, it's a big thing, but, you know, it's not always all about the money. You know, it's about where it's the best fit. And I say I wouldn't just be want to, like, giving money. You know, I want to work for it. So, you know, just produce what I earn, you know. So that's a big part of it, you know.
It didn't. I think that's some that I was really fortunate about. It didn't factor into my recruitment, which is good, honestly. I feel like I made a decision based off where I wanted to go, you know, who was there, you know, what the college was like, and not based off money. So something I can, you know, pride myself on.
Really? It does a little bit, but not a lot. Really, I just want to play football, like, at the next level. That would be my life's dream. Ever since I grew up, I've been wanting to play, just keep playing football. That was my goal. And now I can do that in college at a high level on national TV. Yeah, so really I just want to play, hopefully get to the NFL. If not, I'll be at a great school to get a good degree and do something after football.
I'll be lying if I said it didn't have a factor in my recruitment, because it do, you know. My main goal is to, like, get my family to where they don't have to work again, you know. So it plays a part, but it don't plays a big part, you know. I'm still looking at schools to get developed and get me to the next level to get the big money, you know, to get to the main goal. So I just want to be comfortable in college, so it really don't plays a real big part, you know.
It doesn't really play a big factor. I would say it's a priority in my recruitment. I wouldn't say it's everything. I definitely value development, family environment, education, and you could fit NIL somewhere in the mix.
It doesn't really factor a whole lot, but I mean, since it's here, I want to take advantage of it as much as I can, but I don't really base a decision too much off of NIL.
It don't really factor a lot because, like, you know, once you get to college, like, if you play good, you're going to get paid regardless of, like, the situation. So I feel like, and then if you go on a 3-year plan to get to the league, you know, it's right down the corner, so all you got to do is just wait for 3 years and you'll get, like, that major contract. But it definitely played like a role. Like, you don't want to go to college for, like, nothing, though, for sure.
Well, you said it. Yeah. You said it. You said, if I go to college and play well, I'll get paid. Yeah. How do you know that's going to happen? Do you ask these schools about it?
Yeah, you really talk to the players, and they just tell you, like, I know Malachi starts from Georgia. The first year, he didn't really get a lot of the money. And I was talking to him about it, and he was like, well, I went out there and made all them plays, freshman All-American. Now he's probably making, like, 6 figures, you know, something like that. You feel me?
At all.
Why not? It's out there. Everybody's talking about it.
Nah, NIL really ain't play a big factor in my decision. I really say that because, like, really you can have, like, all the money in the world, but, like, at the end of the day, if you're not comfortable, if you're not happy there, then, like, there's really no point of, like, doing that. So I really felt more comfortable at Georgia. That's why I really committed to Georgia, because that's really where I'm comfortable at, and that's where my family is also comfortable at too. So
I feel like for me right now, it doesn't really factor in that much. I feel like money will come. You know, if you play good, money will come. And I feel like we don't need to chase money as athletes. You know, I feel like the money will just come to us. So,
honestly, I'm not really concerned about NIL like that. I mean, I know it's coming, but I'm really concerned, you know, playing football and be able to get a degree, you know, go to school for free. That's pretty much the biggest part for me. But I know NIL's come with it too, so it's just a plus.
NIL really doesn't play that much of a factor into my recruitment because I'm not really too much worried about the money right now. I'm more so worried about getting ready for the NFL. That's really my main goal with going to college, developing and going to the league.
I mean, it's not really big of a deal. I mean, it's just something, if it come. It's a change for my family and myself, so yeah.
We had a conversation with Tennessee this weekend about it, but that's one of the first that we've had, so I'm assuming that on the officials they'll kind of talk about it, but I haven't really mentioned it to any of the colleges just because that's nothing that I'm really worried about. And, you know, I want to go to college to play football, and NIL is just a byproduct of that.
For me, NIL is really not a big deal. I think I look at NIL as an opportunity to show young athletes their worth, but also it shouldn't be who you are. You shouldn't pick a school just because they're giving out money. They're going to be like, oh, we're going to promise you this amount of money, because at the end of the day, that's chump change when it comes to the league.
It's not the deciding factor. Like, I want to pick a school on my relationship with the coaches, my relationship with, like, the other players in my class, but it does play a little part being able to support myself and my family.
What's one thing that people maybe don't know about NIL that you think they should know?
Some of the money sometimes the schools offer you, like, don't be true. Like, they could, like, tell you, oh, I'm going to give you $15 million, some $20 million, and then, like, you get up there and they're not giving you all the money, and now you be, like, wanting to leave and want to transfer. So, like, I definitely heard one of those stories before.
I'll probably say for me, people think that, like, since I have a large NIL value, they think I'm able to get all that money right now. That's not really the case. You know, I kind of do got to wait, because I'm pretty sure it's illegal in Georgia. So I kind of do got to wait for my time. So people think I have all the money and all that stuff. Yeah.
I think it's that everybody thinks it's corrupt, and it's not. I mean, there's a lot of great people out there doing it for the right reason and doing it for the players, and I think that's the biggest misconception right now, because you hear all about the bad deals and the bad agents and all that, but there's a lot of good out there too, and there's a lot of people using it for the right reason.
I could say, like, the big money part, like, everybody is saying, like, 4 mil, 5 mil. You know, when you get there, you probably don't get it. So, I mean, just listen for numbers, basically. Like, if you listen for numbers and, like, if you think you're getting 5 mil, then nah.
NIL is, like, as far as NIL, it's not just about what school you go to. It's about who you are, character, just, you know, profile, period. NIL is who you are, you know, things that you built, your brand, just communicating with communities and, you know, giving back. It's just a lot about your character. NIL isn't just about what school you go to.
I feel like a lot of fans think that the money just comes to us, like, right when we get to the school, like, oh, like, you hear, like, stories like, oh, he's getting 9 mil. I feel like people think, oh, he's just going to get 9 mil right when he comes. Like, no, it's like, it's factored in there, but yeah.
The NIL takes a lot of respect. It takes a lot of time to talk the deals, talk deals and contracts out with brands. So I think they should know that it takes a lot of work and time for NIL deals to actually be.
Really, I feel like a lot of people think that only, like, the top players get the NIL, but really, just if you go to college and you grind, you'll get the NIL deals that some of the big-time names getting. Just there's a lot of opportunities out here, just apartment complexes, cars, car dealerships, just a bunch of things that'll get you there.
I don't believe when people or, like, rumors about kids or recruits getting paid millions of dollars when they step on campus. I don't really believe that. I can't see that at all happening.
None of you or your friends are getting offered millions of dollars to step on campus?
I don't think so. They might be getting offered it, but I couldn't see it actually happening, though.
Being able to have NIL and get money is a privilege itself, so I wouldn't take advantage of it and be thankful for what you got.
Yeah, you know, I can give you I would say it's more of a misconception. Not even honestly a misconception,
Sure.
a little bit just a fact about it. It's really awkward. It's not easy to talk about at all with, I mean, even coaches, even you guys, it's not easy to talk about at all. NIL is a little bit awkward.
I'd say that kids choose school over, like, for the NIL. I feel like I talked to a lot of kids that's been committed. I feel like that's not true. You know, they truly like the school, like, love the coaching staff, love the depth chart and all that stuff. So I feel like that's one of the biggest misconceptions.
Like, they think just because you get, like, an NIL deal, you just get paid, like, every day, like, or every week or so. But, like, you just got to do stuff really to get paid.
You just get all that money right then and there.
It don't work like that?
It don't work like that. You got to produce. You got to produce, and you got to show why you is worth that money.
I would say the biggest lie is it's the only thing that matters. You know, because a lot of these kids, like me in general, picked up a football and went into high school, and you were still not allowed to get paid. And I think the reason you picked up that football was not because of the money; it was because you loved the game. And I think that's the biggest lie, is that it's the only thing that matters in someone's recruitment. Because I know for me that wasn't the truth. I think at the end of the day, really the only thing that matters is the love you have for the game, and the money is something that comes with the platform you build for yourself.
I think most fans, they think that NIL is the whole thing, you know, like why these players are committing to these colleges, you know. Like Texas. They say I'm so big on Texas because the money and stuff like that, but really it's like the development I see myself getting in a program in like as well as Miami.
What's the craziest thing in NIL that's happened to
Yeah.
you or somebody you know?
Well, I say being committed to Tennessee, I feel like I got to bring up, Nico, when he went to Tennessee and he was getting $9 million. I feel like that was kind of the biggest thing. That's a lot of money. $9 million is a lot of money, so I feel like that was kind of the biggest thing.
My facts might be wrong on this, but the quarterback that was committed to Florida or
Jaden
something
Rashada.
like that. Yeah, Jaden Rashada. His whole situation was crazy to me, I'm not going to get into it because I know none of my business, but that's probably was the
Jaden Rashada.
Yeah.
Rashad. That was.
Yeah, I think there was a story about last year's cycle. There was a kid who, I guess, was talking about getting money from a school, and he was using it as leverage for another school, but didn't realize the coaches talk to each other and that the leverage was fake.
The kid that was committed to Florida, the quarterback,
Jaden Rashada.
I don't know why he took all the money.
You don't know why he agreed to it
Yeah.
originally?
Yeah.
Why? What do you mean by that?
Cause what it was like $7 million?
$14 million over 3 years is what On3 reported.
14 mil is kind of crazy. I'm just saying.
Like if it's too good to be true,
yeah,
it might be too good to be true.
Yeah, it was. That was 14 mil was kind of crazy. I went like, if it's a school offering you 14 mil, then it's probably like they're probably not gonna give it to you. So it's something to look into, something to talk with your family about, and stuff like that.
Crazy story. I've heard.
Or been a part of.
I've heard a couple people promise like tons of millions of dollars and barely even get any. So it's just like it's crazy how you could really, and that's also for me. I'm not gonna choose a school because they're saying all this money. Even if they do give me all the money, I'm not gonna choose that school for that. But it's some people a lot choose from NIL, and that's the only reason why.
One of my friends was telling me about how the school was offering him so much money, and he chose to commit there. But once he commit, they changed the decision and didn't give him any money. So
The old bait and switch.
Yep.
I've heard some things like some schools have ran out of scholarships, but they've been able to fill that void with NIL money.
Yeah.
Being able to give the kid kind of a free spot, but not on scholarship, technically.
I mean, I've heard people that have signed deals where they didn't read the the subscript, and they have to give off like 20% of what they make. So I mean, like stuff like that is just crazy to think that you got to give 20% of everything that you make to somebody, and I think that's just crazy.
I've heard of some schools offering a crazy amount of money, like maybe some millions, just to go there, and that's kind of crazy because that can really change the whole spectrum because a person could like this school, but this school offers more money, so they might just flip just because of the money wise. So.
Yeah, as far as like me being committed to Michigan State, it's like a lot of fans like, man, he's over there getting that NIL money, or Nick Marsh is getting paid big money, and I never was getting paid money. It's just the relationship with the coaches and stuff, what kept me there, and everyone thought that I was like getting paid some big time money, and it was
Where's the money?
I'm like, yeah, man, I'm like, I wish I had some money for real. Y'all talking about some money, man. I wish I had some money, but that's one of the craziest stories by far.
Josh, what an incredible event. Having the CEO and founder of On3, Shannon Terry, drop some knowledge on us. Then we get to talk to Grant Firking about the future of NIL and this event as a whole. And then we just have the future of college football sitting at this very desk with us, talking about their recruitment, how it factors in. I mean, just an incredible day for On3 and really the NIL space as a whole.
Yeah, and these guys are really in it. I mean, we're talking to the top 1% of high school athletes in America. They're the ones that are truly dealing with NIL. So I hope fans out there got a glimpse into what happens kind of behind the scenes for an athlete going through this NIL process.
Well, that does it for us here at On3. Again, myself, JD Piquel, alongside the man, the myth, the legend, Josh Newberg, Trey Yannity, Nick Brake on the production side of things. Make sure you're subscribed right here. We'll see y'all next time.